Hello, super friends. Today I'm joined again by recurring friend of the channel, Tom King, and this is a very exciting episode. For those of you who watched the last one, me and Tom were lamenting about the fact that there was no compact comic with his name on it. And what happened, like immediately after that episode, they announced a Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow compact comic. So, for those of you that don't know, I mean, Tom King needs no introduction, but you might know him from the Eisner nominated series Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow with Bilquis Evely, Matt Lopez, and Clayton Cowles. You might know him from the upcoming Lanterns TV show or his new animated Mr. Miracle show that he's show running. So, Tom, how are you doing, man? Your schedule must be insane right now. I can't imagine how many things you're writing concurrently.
I mean, before anything, Jake, let me just say thank you for having me on. I love this show. I love what you do. I love how much love you put into this comics and into getting the word out about these books, and I just appreciate you. So before anything starts, let me just get that on the table. Uh, Dude, it's my pleasure. As to your question, I'm so busy, dude. I am underwater. I am just it's 24/7 work here, but it's all good. Especially as you said, I'm working on this Mr. Miracle animated series. That's kind of my life now, writing every episode, and just making sure that the animated series is as special as that comic is to me. So that's it's. But beyond that, I'm still writing Wonder Woman. I'm still prepping for the release of Supergirl. I'm prepping for the release of Lanterns. So man, it's a lot, but it's a lot of good.
You're like the nerdy Alexander Hamilton right now, man. I feel like you're just writing so much stuff concurrently.
Dude, I am writing like I'm running out of time. That's exactly how I feel, man. I used to, people used to, when I sign books in the beginning, they'd be like, sign some writing advice. And I would just write this little riddle. I'd be like, write until you drop and then write on the ground. That's how I feel, man. Just write until you drop and then write on the ground.
That's awesome. And before we go any further, I want to thank not only you, but I want to thank your awesome assistant Mandy for
Oh,
setting this up. I try not to bug her too much, but once every few months, I'll just be like, "Ping, hello," just like so she knows I'm you're always welcome here. So thank you for this, man.
Mandy's the best. If you ever see me at a con, Mandy's usually the young lady who's standing next to me, making sure everything actually runs on time. And I'm an incredibly unorganized person. Mandy keeps it all together. So if you see her at con, say hi. She's awesome.
I mean, all I'm gonna say is Mandy recognized me without a mustache at the convention. I feel like it took you a few minutes to realize who I was. I was like,
I
I
was
had
like,
my
I
books and I was
know
like,
that handsome, clean face somewhere before.
that's awesome, man. So this is exciting. So I know there's not
Right.
much that we can talk about on the Mr. Miracle side, but one thing I wanted to ask you specifically is you mentioned in a previous interview when you write your stories, you have a specific voice in mind for your characters, right?
100%. Yeah.
Like, so how do you balance staying true to that voice while voice casting your animated show? So how do you and have you heard anyone that sounds better than what you heard in your head?
I mean, that's an excellent question. And I mean, the answer is obviously yes. But the real way you balance it is auditions. That's how you balance it. Uh, every one of these roles we auditioned for, and we heard a bunch of people read for them, and I would listen and be like, "That's really good. That's an actor and actress I want to work with incredibly," but that's just not quite it. It doesn't click in. It's there's that feeling when two gears click together, and you're like, "That's smooth, and that works, and that's what it should be." And then suddenly you'll hear the voice, and you'll say, "Oh, that's it. That's the thing. That's it." And the magic of it is. Um, and I witnessed this on Lanterns. I witnessed this a few times on Hollywood thing. When you have the right actor hit the right role, what really happens is that instead of worrying about your dialogue, because if you're the writer, you're like, as they say it, as they're reading it, you're just thinking, "Oh man, I wrote that poorly. Oh, I should have put a 2 or a 4 there. I should." Suddenly the dialogue disappears, and suddenly you're watching the show. Suddenly it's not about the words anymore. It's about the moment. That's what a great audition is. It's when you're suddenly listening to the moment instead of the words. And when that happens, I know we're dead on. We have the thing. So yeah, I mean, there were some people who nailed it, who were exactly just, I was like, "Oh my God, that is Scott. That is Barda." And then there were some people who are, I was like, "That's not what I expected, but that is Dark Side." So
Yeah.
it ran the gauntlet from, I mean, I was not, I love this book. I love it to death. I wasn't going to settle for anything less than perfect, but it ran the gauntlet from perfect to just beyond.
That's awesome. And how cool is it that it's not only you show running and writing every episode, but you get to work on it with Mitch, the artist for Mr. Miracle. I mean, technically you're both Eisner award winning artists for Mr. Miracle.
That's right. I did draw one of the pages. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. He drew a little more than me though. A little more.
Yeah, he did a couple more, 1,000 more panels than you probably, but
Someone added
but
it
he
up
was
once, and it
counting.
was more. It was like 2,700 or something. It was a lot. It was if you add 9 times 24 times 12, whatever it is.
I remember that they mentioned it in, I think, the forward of the Absolute Edition.
That makes
Um,
sense.
so my next question, as you know, this is a collected editions channel. Though actually I'm weirdly getting really into single issues to a degree where I'm running out of space
Oh
even
no,
faster.
you've betrayed your mission. You're the Mr. Collected Editions. Now you're getting a
Yes,
floppies.
DC has been too good right now. And then it's like, for instance, like I went out to the comic book shop last Wednesday because I wanted to make a reel supporting Mitch's first writing credit. So like
Of course.
I had to get a physical edition of that.
He did a
So
fantastic job, by the way. If you guys haven't gotten uh, the new Black and Gold Wonder Woman, that's all Mitch. I came up with the very simplest of simple plots, and Mitch did every single thing, and it's brilliant. It annoys me how good he writes, and he's going to be a superstar in his own right, which pisses me off because the more he writes for Mitch, the less he's writing for me. So now I got to be not only jealous of his talent, but mad at his talent.
you have to balance his Pokemon card opening with his writing now.
Yes. I only hope he tears enough Pokemon packages that he's desperate enough that he needs to do something like Mr. Miracle 2 or something. That's like I gotta cling to the hope that the Pokemon addiction leads to desperation.
Right. You just start being like, have you seen this pack?
Yeah.
But okay, in the collect editions world, I want to know what was it like when you found out you were getting your first absolute versus what it was like when you found out you were getting a compact comic, because I feel like they're both such important editions on opposite ends of the spectrum.
I mean, the Absolute I think was probably a. I mean, they're kind of different vibes. They're different books. The Absolute, I mean, to me, that's kind of like you make your work makes it into the Hall of Fame. And I'm not saying everything in the Absolute collection is perfect. There are books in the Absolute collection that I think are not.
Name names.
No, I'm not going to
What's the
name any
worst
names.
absolute? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding,
But
man.
I'm just saying, yeah, there are apps. Not everything in the Absolute is perfect, but a lot of things that are perfect are in the Absolute. Um, and so it just felt to me um, like that story was being put into the canon, put into like one of those all time stories, and that's literally what I came to DC to do. That was my goal from day one, was to create. I mean, I love the fact that I had a huge run on Batman. I love the fact that I'm in the middle of a huge run on Wonder Woman. That stuff means a ton to me. But what I always wanted to do was to do what Frank Miller and Alan Moore did, but my real heroes, and write these kind of contained stories that last forever. And to have one of them elevated to it, which is, I don't know, it meant the absolute world to me, to coin a term.
Everyone says that, and I do that in every video. It's like why that word always comes to mind. And
It is. It is.
um
It
but
was it was it was that so that was that emotion. And then there's the separate emotion, which there's a monster that lives inside me, which is like, okay, I got this once. How can I get it again? I feel like Mitch going through Pokemon card packs. I was like,
right.
wins Strange Adventures, wins Supergirl, wins Human Target, wins the next one. And that you get the high
Yeah.
ones, and you want them. That's the problem with being I don't know, ambitious or
Yeah.
whatever it is inside me. I'm not a guy who settles for happiness. As soon as I reach one mountain, I want the next one. So
I can relate to striving for greatness, and like for me, like I don't know. For me, succeeding is the bare minimum of what like I need to sustain myself. You know what I mean? And then you got to keep pushing for the next. It's like I tell the universe, like, well, what have you done for me lately? Like the day after a success. So it's not healthy. But it's fun. But a
yeah.
compact comic, I feel like, is so important because it makes your story accessible to anyone. Someone's gonna buy a absolute edition if they love the story, but a compact comic is meant for you. If you see it at the airport, you're like, "What's Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow?" And I feel like it. I wanted to be known as the absolute guy on YouTube, but my compact comics videos are my most popular by far. and that just shows
Awesome.
because internationally they're so huge.
I mean, that's, I mean, the compact comics, that's like, again, it's the other side of the coin, but to me, it was a big deal just because of what it was, because of what Supergirl is, which is, and it's different than Mr. Miracle. And I say this as Mr. Miracle may be my favorite thing I ever wrote. Uh, Supergirl to me is my most accessible story I ever wrote. It's the story that's easiest to give to a fan who's never read a comic book before. And when I first got into comics, my wife, she was like, "What the hell is this? Why do you have 18 of these long boxes? What, like, I was like, how do I explain to her how I love this medium, what it means to me, the possibilities of it?" And I remember getting her, the first trade of Why the Last Man, first trade of Fables. Those are kind of the big things 20 years ago where you would say, I know this looks very weird to try this out. Here is something to enter into my world. Here's the ticket in. And she read those. She's like, okay, I get it. I understand what these stories can be. I understand how they can impact. And I've never kind of had one of those, as much as I admire those books. And Supergirl is the first one of those books where I feel like I can give this to a 12-year-old who's just starting on in seventh grade, and she can read and be like, oh my god, I love this comic. Or I can give it to a 40-year-old who's laughed at our industry the whole time and saying I love this comic, and be like, there's a movie based on this, it's going to be a big thing, come into my world, it's a ticket in. And now I have a $10 ticket. There's one thing to be like, here's a $50 ticket to get in Disneyland. Who's going to pay for that? It's too much for some people. Now I have a $10 ticket. So to me, that was the thing that blew my mind. I was like, okay, I mean, I'm to my own horn. I feel bad about that, but I now have a chance to spread a gospel about something to love. I mean, I grew up in comics. I spent my career in comics. I'm going to spend my entire career in comics, and now I have a chance to open that door, and that's just, it means the absolute world to me. So again, that absolute thing. So one thing was a huge accomplishment, almost just for myself, a life accomplishment. The other thing was like, okay, now I can, I don't, give back is the wrong word, but now I can expand something. I can do something big with it.
I feel like both are incredibly important. One is a comic in its most premium edition. And I gotta say, Mr. Miracle was one of the coolest designed
It's so
absolutes,
pretty. Look at this little thing. It's so pretty.
right? I mean, I
And
gotta say though,
they did it right. They did it right.
yes.
That's the good part, because like, yeah, it's very simple. It doesn't have, if you want the bells and whistles, we can go through all different editions. But just for a little one, the art is beautiful. It's very readable. I love how they did the titles before
Because
each
though that's
chapter, so it
important to
made
Supergirl.
sense.
Each title
Yes.
chapter I feel like is important to the tone of the story.
And you lose nothing on this paper, and the colors, Matt Lopes colors are still popping. It's just, it's an ideal version, a wonderful way to read the book.
And what I like is now we have it in a trade. We have this deluxe edition, and you inspired this next thing. So you taught me that all your original art was a write-off. So I started using remarks as a write-off,
Wonderful.
as
Perfect.
networking. So that one is one I love to show off. And then
Stand by it.
One of my favorite is I got almost every Batman artist who's worked on your Batman Omni to do
Oh
remarks
wow, that's
in
amazing. That's
uh
absolutely genius. Except my,
clay.
oh
Yeah,
god, there's my fucking thing there. Uh, you got Clay. Clay's in there.
Clay canceled New York Comic Con, so I have everyone but Clay. I
Oh,
can't tell you how frustrated Lee Weeks got when I said, "Can I buy a remark or a sketch from you?" And he goes, "Cool, let me get paper." And I was like, "No, in my book." And he's like, "How am I supposed to draw on this?" I was like, "Dude, it doesn't have to be perfect." I've never seen. I guess he was getting very frustrated. And lastly,
and Lee's not.
my
Lee's like a very calm dude. So well done.
I felt bad. I was waiting for him to show up for like hours, and he showed up because of traffic was terrible. And then I was like, "Can you draw on something that's not paper?" Um, and then lastly, my all-time favorite is what Mitch gave me in my Mr.
Oh,
Miracle.
that's absolutely gorgeous. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's just, yeah, yeah. Mitch is, yeah, like you said, Mitch is a producer on Mr. Miracle, so obviously I talk to him every single day about almost every decision we make, and he's involved on many levels. So it's he's just one of the most creative people I know, and I'm just utterly blessed to put together. If I had to like be in a room with someone to create something, I would choose Mitch. He knows how to get done.
That's awesome. In the Black and Gold special number 1, there was one panel where the little girl had a drawing that evoked your art in your Eisner Award winning art in Mr. Miracle. Was that your art or was that Mitch emulating your style?
I think it was Mitch emulating my style. Yeah, that bastard's always it takes any chance
Ah.
to mock me. How dare he? How dare he? The real question is, can we? Because I did that page in Mr. Miracle. Are we going to animate in my style or not? I don't know. We'll have to figure it out.
So I guess I want to ask, one of my favorite stories of yours is Superman Up in the Sky. We've obviously talked as nauseum about that, but that
Cool.
was a story written about a hero that's very fueled by hope. And then you've written characters like Batman or to a degree Supergirl, which are characters that have experienced a lot of like they're more fueled by, I guess, overcoming their trauma. So what's the
Sure.
biggest difference between writing a character that's fueled by hope versus one that's fueled by overcoming trauma?
I mean, I wouldn't group anyone. I don't think of characters like that. Of like, okay, you're in this group of hope, and you're in this group of trauma. I deal with
Yeah.
everyone. I always look at superheroes, and I don't. It's both my fault and my signatures as individual human beings. Like I wouldn't group people I know. Okay, you're a hopeful person. You're a trauma person. Because some people who have experienced trauma are the most hopeful people I know, and some people who have experienced trauma are the biggest pessimists. Um, so I take each as they come, and I know it sounds a little bit like an NFL coach being like, we just play to win every game, but to me, the voice of Supergirl is someone who has gone through that, but she's not the voice of Scott, like Scott Free, who's gone through some bad stuff that they came out the other side in very different ways, and not the voice of Adam Strange, who went through some bad stuff and came out a different way. Eh, um, people just aren't, we can't group people like that. The
Yeah.
part of being a writer um, is compassion, right? It's the ability to go into someone's head and see the world from their point of view. And every time I write a new character, I'm trying to go into their head and find out just like what makes them unique, what makes them shine. Yeah. So it's hard to separate just writing a character from hope as opposed to trauma.
So you've written a novel, you've written comics, you've
Yeah.
written a TV show, you're writing multiple movies,
I've written for
multiple
video
Hollywood.
games. I've done everything but a play. I think I haven't done
Okay.
a play yet. Yeah,
What video game did you write for?
that's secret. I can't tell you.
Okay. Okay. Oh wait,
But
it's secret
it's a
because
good question.
it's not released yet, or secret because you're not allowed to say that you
It's
wrote
not
that video
released
game.
yet. Yeah, it's not released.
Oh, I got a scoop. He's writing a video game. What what was like? I guess so. When you go into the writers' room on say Lanterns versus the
Sure,
writers' room on Mister Miracle,
sure.
what were some strengths that you pulled from comics, and was there any like I guess I would say weakness that you had to unlearn from being a comic writer to writing TV shows?
I mean, in very different writers' rooms, right? Like Miss Lanterns was a group of some of just the most creative people in Hollywood, including our showrunner Chris Mundy, who did a little show called Ozarks that you might have watched. I think it's the most watched show of the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, in the room was Damon Lindelof, who's just one of the most creative people in the history of the television medium. Damon is, you might know him from a little show called Lost, or a show called Watchmen, or a show called Leftovers, or if you really want to make fun of him, Crossing Jordan, or the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies, which are actually kind of miraculous in how he did with that IP. That was like, if use a sports metaphor, it's like being on an all-star team. You're just like, oh my god, I got to be at the top of my game every single day, or else I'm not even going to appear. But in terms of like, I had done, despite the fact this is the first things that have aired, and Lord knows you can make fun of me for it. I had done television shows before. I had spent 2 years of my life writing a television show with Tommy Lee Jones that just never got aired because of COVID. I had written a movie with Ava DuVernay. I had worked for a long
Mm-hmm.
time on a Looney Tunes movie that sort of never made it, a Bugs Bunny movie, and so I'd had some experience at least with this kind of dynamic. But that challenge was just I say this as a guy who spends his life in creative spaces, who talks to the greatest creative minds in my industry. That was a challenge. Just be as creative as those people, to just run the marathon with people who ran marathons for a living. And I think in terms of what comics bring and don't bring, um, I don't know. I didn't see. I mean, the greatest challenge is comics as a scripting. It's a much more open medium. It's a television script is a lot more contained. I mean, there's lots of different, obviously, challenges. Like, you have to adjust your actors. You have to adjust. You have so much more notes. The notes is like, it's like 10 times as many notes. There's 10 times as many people reading every script. You have to think about budget in sort of a different way. But you have to think about budget in comics. Mr. Miracle is completely different. I am the writer's room. You are looking at the writer's room. This is the writer's room. It is. It
Oh,
is just.
you're the sole writer, or?
I am the sole writer. I'm writing every single episode. Um, I ripped off one of my personal heroes, James Gunn, who is the sole writer on all the TV shows he does on Creature Commandos and Peacemaker, and I did it the sort of James Gunn way, where I wrote every single episode while show running it, and so that's a different set of challenge. Now, that said, in Lanterns is not based on a particular comic or thing. It was just making up a new story. This was based on a particular comic that people love, so it's a little easier because I sort of have my guideposts built in. So that was very helpful in that process, obviously.
I'm gonna prod a little bit, but if not things we can talk about, we'll skip past them. They announced that Mr. Miracle is taking place in the DC universe, right? That's
James
what I
Gunn
think.
said in Instagram that it's in the DCU. Yeah.
Okay, and versus I feel like the comic takes place in a little bit of a different continuity. So I was just, I thought that was interesting. Is there anything we can say about that, or is that, do we got to move past that?
I mean, I will just say that it is interesting, and it's a pleasure to be part of the DC universe. I've been there since day one, and I've almost since before day one. So yeah, I feel very at home in the DCU.
I had one last question, then we'll move on back to Supergirl.
No
For
problem.
Creature Commandos, James Gunn, the people that were casted for the voice actors who were the live action people. Was that a rule that you had to follow, or was that not a rule you had to follow?
That is an absolutely excellent question, and the answer will be coming soon.
Okay. I had to ask that because I was dying to know. But let's go on to my favorite part of interviews, which is the panel game. And we've done some Supergirl panels before, so I had to make sure I had to go back through our old interviews and make sure I didn't pull any panels that I pulled for previous ones. But these were 4 panels that I think showcase how special your book is. Your book is a 4 people, 4 masters of their craft that I feel like we're just firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
Bilquis is, I would say, in my Mount Rushmore of current artists right now.
Wow.
Um,
Wow. She's
Matt,
fantastic and so kind and so nice. If you have a chance to meet her, she's
I
just,
did, yeah.
yeah. Wasn't she
Uh,
wonderful? She's
she
the best.
she was awesome. I got to show. I was talking with her and Matt, and they didn't know what a library edition was, or like how big Helen was going to be. So, because I don't know if you've ever seen me at a convention, I have those rolling carts full of my collected editions. So I got to show them what a library edition looked like. Matt colored one of my favorite books of last year, which was Batman and Robin Year One
Love
by
that
Chris
book.
Samney and
And
Mark
Mark Waid,
Waid.
wonderful book.
One of the like literally like I feel like his coloring was just perfect for that book. Um, and then Clayton Cowles, who I've tagged on every Instagram post and have never got accepted on, but his I feel like letterers are the most underappreciated people in comics, and his lettering in Supergirl is so important because there's the lettering of when she's writing in her book. There's the
Sure.
lettering for when there's dialogue. So the lettering in this book is important. So now that I've gushed about, I guess you are also the writer, so you did great writing a something that you would hope your daughter would read, a story that she would enjoy. And these are 4 panels that I think really sell the book, and just want to know if there's any context or story behind them.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, yeah. This is just an absolute wonderful panel. I mean, this was inspired. This is me stealing from one of my friends. there's a famous issue of Fantastic Four with that Jonathan Hickman wrote, uh, um, where after Johnny Storm dies, but he dies, and Thing needs to express his anger, and there's just this wonderful where Thing goes, he goes on the and then I think it's Hulk and Thor, but it might be two other strong guys. They come and they're just like, pound on us, pound on us, let that pain out. So I was this is obviously an issue if you've read it, where I'm telling these very short of vignettes, these 3-page vignettes, basically because I have a 24-page issue. I have a 24-page issue, and 3 goes into 24 nicely, and it's a mathematically easy. So I tell 8 3-page stories. So this issue is all 3-page, 8 3-page stories that are about Ruthie and Supergirl going planet and planet and seeing the brigands, seeing the sort of genocidal pirates and what they've done, and the aftermath of them, and how it connects to Supergirl feeling about her own planet, and how it tests, her empathy, but also in testing it shows it how strong it really is. And so in this planet, she encounters a being who can't mourn, who can't get it out, and she demands that being sort of punch her and hit her until the being cracks and lets her emotions out. Yeah, so it's a little bit of stealing and a little bit of creativity, like all the best comics.
One of my favorite conversations that we've had in the past was when you explain your writing style versus Jonathan Hickman's, and you talk about how his writing style is like, you said he's like, they're like gods that are having a conversation
For
versus you
sure.
write gods that sound like humans. And I feel like I kind of see a flavor of that here. Was this issue number 4, right, with the vignettes?
And you can almost see it. It's funny. You can see that parallel here, because like in that issue, it takes place on the roof, like as like above the clouds. Where in mine, she falls down to the ground. You could almost see it as like me commenting on me and Jonathan doing sort of the same kind of thing.
I love that. This was issue 4, right? The vignette one.
Yes, this is issue 4. Yeah, yeah, that's right.
I should know. My day today was reading Supergirl. If you go to your Instagram messages, you'll see I was reading on my bed today, and my cat starts meowing at me, and then she walks on the deluxe edition and starts staring, giving me like, because like I was giving more attention to the comic than I was to her. So you'll have a fun cat picture to
That's
look
this.
at.
Oh, that's a sign of a good read. That's a huge compliment. Yeah, this is
Right.
this is a. I mean, it's a very emotional issue, and it was a challenging issue to tell. 3-page stories are hard to tell. That's because you have to have a beginning and a middle and end. You have a very sort of limited palette. So it was a wonderful challenge. Yeah.
Before we go on, I want to talk about something huge that happened in between our previous interviews. The Supergirl trailer came out, which is amazing. I know that when you finally handed your daughter the comic, she like wasn't into it, but how did it feel that there was a trailer? Was she then excited? Like there's a trailer based on the story that you wrote for her?
I did. I showed it to her, and she was my daughter. I mean, if you thought she was cynical when she was like 12 when this book came out, now she's 16. Woo, it's like a whole other level of cynicism. But but that's kind of how she's kind of if you imagine Daria, I know that's kind of over your head, but it's an old Gen X reference.
I watched BoJack Horseman and they made a Daria reference, and I had to Google who that was so I could get the
That makes
joke.
sense. But that's her vibe. She's kind of she's chill, but there's a big heart underneath the chill. And so yeah, so I showed her the thing, and she looks at it and she's like, cool, yeah, that's cool, that's cool. But then the next day she's like, Dad, I showed the preview to some of my friends and they thought it was cool too. So like that's the best compliment, when they take it
That's
to
awesome.
school and
That's
they're
that's
like,
when you know.
yeah, that's when you know that it actually had some sort of impact. And yeah, it was a real special moment to send that to my kids and have them see it, and have them
That's that's amazing.
it got a little verklempt. I was a little choked up a little bit.
Not me Googling what verklempt looks means in the on another tab. I'm more of a talker about comics. I'm not a writer, man.
So
I no, so I really liked the trailer. I feel like it captured a lot of the tone and the vibe. I feel like it was
very
definitely a
much so.
teaser, and my biggest hope from seeing the teaser is that, like, I know you can't say anything, but I just want to see more planets. I felt like we spent most of that teaser all on one planet. I don't know if that's the case or not, but I really hope that we go to multiple worlds, because Bilquis eh, draws these intricate worlds such as this panel, and just colored beautifully by Matt Lopez. So I'm excited when we finally see the movie. I hope we get to go to a lot of planets, because this is such a space epic.
Oh man, yeah. I haven't seen the movie yet. I'm based in Washington D.C., so I can't go to screenings in L.A. And I've seen some extended clips. I've read the screenplay. I mean, the one thing I can say is that Millie embodies his character perfectly. I can say with utter confidence that she's absolutely kills it. And I guess I can say this with confidence that the suit looks real cool. I mean, you've seen that in
Yeah.
the show, but it looks. I got to see it close up, but it looks real cool.
So one piece of merch that we both bought was the Superman popcorn bucket, right? So I want to
Yes,
know if you got to give
still,
some
still,
input.
still got mine on the counter. It's where I keep my fake sugars, where I keep my
Nice.
my equals and all that stuff. So yeah, it's still in use. I didn't buy the Jaws one, and I regret it now. I wish
Okay.
I was dipping my hand into a Jaws every once in a while.
so so I wanted to ask, say AMC or whoever came to you and said, "You're the writer of Supergirl. What should the popcorn bucket be?" What
Ooh,
would be what would be your pitch? Cuz I feel like you could do the brigand ship would be pretty cool. I don't know if that's in
pirate
the movie.
ship.
We don't know
I don't
anything,
know.
but like,
I don't know.
what do you think would make a good popcorn bucket, based if the say it was a 1-to-1 adaptation from the comic to the movie, what would be a fun popcorn bucket?
Okay, this is again. I'm saying this not having seen the movie. So this is just
Yeah.
if the comic book was 1-to-1 of the thing, just to clarify it for everyone.
I'm not going to clip it out of context, don't worry.
It's tough to not say some sort of crypto thing as a big dog person. I don't know how
Yeah.
you would, but just to have a little toy crypto. Although I guess crypto's not like a huge part of the book, but he's in the beginning and the end. Obviously, he's sort of big. Oh man, you're asking me a great goddamn question. You know what would be cool is Ruthie's sword somehow. I
Mm,
don't know how to turn that into a popcorn bucket. Like if it's something where it's like a scabbard and you like open it up and there's
nice.
popcorn inside, like that kind of thing. Yeah, right. I'm going with Ruthie's sword, which is super cool and super important to the book. Yeah.
I mean, technically
That's-
Crim's sword, right? But
yes, that he steals and gets back. Obviously, that's the thing. Yeah,
I mean, what if it's just a giant rock from Ruthie's farm?
yeah.
I
Rock
was
for the
like,
rock.
I every time, I love that panel of the mom. Like, I don't know what she's doing. She's shaving the rock with like what looks like a knife, but like I don't know what a rock farmer does. Did you ever ask yourself, what does a rock farmer do? I imagine farm rocks, but
I imagine if in my head, a rock farmer plants little rock seeds and grows rocks and gets rocks out of the ground. And then in their alien culture, rocks are things that if you treat them well with love and care, they grow into boulders and they can be mined. Yeah, it's something like that.
you
It
know what?
was
I feel like we all could grow into boulders with love and care.
that's true. That's true. Sometimes I've grown into a few boulders in my time. I'm trying not to be as boulderly as I used to be.
Yeah. So I believe this is also from issue 4, but from another separate vignette. I think this is one of the most gorgeous panels in the book, and one of the most emotionally it destroys me when I read this portion.
I'm putting on my glasses for this one so I can check it out. Oh man, look at that.
So this is
Oh
when they
wow.
go to the monks that just sat there while Crim and the brigands went to town on them because they're so peaceful. And she goes, basically, I can't scream, it would destroy everything.
Yeah, and she flies into the sun. Yeah, I mean, first of all, this is just Bilquis showing off. I'm sure whatever this was, it was like panel two was not draw a huge, beautiful, intricate castle that floats in the sky. Like that is not at all what was in the script. It was probably like inside a castle, and then I had these three panels. And then she did this, what I called a classic Kubert school thing. This design comes right from if you've gone to the Kubert school or know Kubert school graduate like Lee Weeks, for example.
Mm.
This is something they teach, which is you take you take the panels. Obviously, like a lot of artists like Mitch wouldn't do this kind of thing because he's much more my style, which is sort of one thing after another. But the Kubert school style is you take the most important panel, you turn that into a splash, and then you insert the other panels over it. so that the page becomes sort of the splash with these sort of little inserts.
I've noticed Hayden Sherman doing it more lately. If you've ever read anything with art by Hayden Sherman, they're one of my favorite artists, right? They did Dark Patterns and Absolute Wonder Woman, but the way they weave the panel into an overarching image is awesome.
Yeah, if you read Up in the Sky, you'll see Andy Kubert. Obviously, one of his father founded the Kubert schools and is one of the masters of this technique. But yeah, it's very hard to do because it can be very distracting where you kind of miss the story unless the layout is done well. But I mean, look how well absolutely she does it. The first thing that catches your mind is the castle, so you feel like you're in the castle. And that little background thing, you're inside, and then the whole thing, and it's because of Lopez's colors, is that
Yeah,
I guess you'd call it the fourth panel is the little face, right? Like that's the turning point of the whole thing, and that's the turning point of the whole of this whole vignette is her saying, "I can't be here," and it's just because she's drawn utterly perfectly in color that just bounces off the page like that, and then you just
yeah.
get that little silhouette and the fly off there. And some artists would call that a cheat. I call it art. Like obviously that's easier to draw than a castle is to put it in silhouette, but it's so raw and so evoking of emotion. It's just utterly perfect. And that line, I mean, the magic of comics is that's a line coming from the silhouette, but in your mind you can feel Supergirl taking off. You can feel the speed of it, and just with a little bit of thickness of the ink at the very end. Just amazing, absolutely brilliant work by Bilquis.
And the fourth artist with Clayton Cowles on this, you see the difference right here illustrated of when Ruthie's writing in her book versus when they're talking. So,
Yeah,
um,
100.
I feel like that's awesome. So, I got one more that I want to show you, and this is one of the I feel like one of the
Oh
most
yeah,
heartbreaking
yeah,
portions of the book.
yeah. This is I there's a few comics, not a ton, that I've read that make me cry, which shouldn't. The comics should not make me cry because I made it up. I know it's fiction. It's something I typed into a computer.
But they're
Uh,
real to you though, right? These characters are real, these stories are real, and this
yeah, they're
came
real,
from
but
a real place.
but to me, when I read my stuff, I read them as like you. This is the difference between a creator and I don't know the person who reads the creation, right? Like to me, when I look at my stuff, I look at it as contingent. I look at it as, oh, I could have done that, I could have done that, or I should have done that, I
Mhm.
should have done that. Whereas when I'm reading someone else's thing, when I'm reading Scott Snyder's or Josh Williamson's and my friends, I'm like, oh, that he did that for that reason. He would never change that. He hit it perfectly. And I think when people don't realize when they can consume art that's to us, it was like that was a day, that was a whim. Um, and yet so to me that puts a little distance between me and reading any of my own stuff, and so because of that it's although it does affect me emotionally, I go for it. It shouldn't affect me super emotionally, but this one page, it hits me real hard. I said this before, but I cut this page out and it's up on my daughter's wall. I mean, I wish I
Wait, wait,
wasn't.
wait, you didn't spring for the original?
No, I feel like this is published. Bilkis sold these pages before.
Mm,
She uh, Actually, I don't think she sold this issue. She owns this issue. I don't think
okay,
she's.
nice.
I think she has this one.
I think she's repped by Felix, and it's like every day they're like, every page of this comic sold out in 20 seconds. I'm like,
Yeah,
man, Felix knows how to sling some art.
I do not own a single. And trust me, I've given Bilka some guilt about this. I don't own a single page of hers. I would love to, but yeah, no, I cut it out of the comic. I took the staples out of a comic book issue, and took this page out of it fresh and put it in a frame, just because this is, I always say Supergirl is a book for and it's a book for everyone, but it's especially a book for fathers of daughters and daughters of fathers. Um, and this is me writing about, I don't know, how I always feel about having a daughter. No matter what comes, you'll still be my little girl. That's true.
And it also hits people who don't have daughters, or are not daughters of fathers, but like this
Sure.
is just such an awesome panel. I feel like I love I think I read in one of the forwards of one of the collected editions, you talked about like, oh, I'm throwing a ball and Supergirl's being chased by a ball, and then Bilquis just goes off. She draws one of the most inventive things I've ever seen, and then like I guess my thing is like, what does Matt Lopez say when he's got to color a page with the absence of color? Is he like, heck yes, I don't have to worry about, or like like what is that like as a colorist when you're like they go to a part of the universe where there's no color?
I remember they were very tentative about it because they were like, "Oh my god, are the editors going to let us do this?" And the emails came in, uh, and they're like, "Is it okay if we just don't color these? If we can be a little?" And we have a wonderful editor, Brittany Holzer, on this book, and she's always pushes, your point of view first. But she's like, "All right, I'm going to try to get this cleared," and she worked really hard. So. Give the editor all the credit in getting a very weird page clear where there's the absence of color, which was brilliant. This chasing I mean, if you've read that intro, you know that the reason it's such a simple story, it's her being chased by a ball, is because I had 24 hours to write this story. I had to write it very, very quickly for deadline reasons because I had written a story I had to throw out, and I had to write this instead. And for her to turn such a simple premise into what is the heart and soul of the book, and one of my favorite issues I've ever written in my life, which was issue 6, is just, I mean, yeah, it's wonderful, wonderful. Also, horses are hard to draw. Poor Bilquis.
I feel like this issue is important too because I went into this book never having read a Supergirl comic in my life. I think I read Death and Return of Superman, and I'm like, why is she a puddly alien named Matrix? You know what I mean? I didn't know
Yeah,
anything about Supergirl, and I had no idea that she
which we
didn't.
did do a small shout out in issue 2. He turns into the Matrix, so we shouted out my little Peter David love there. We did do.
I didn't realize she didn't see her world get destroyed once or twice, but 3 times. You know, so
Yeah.
that's crazy, and yet because her parents told her be good, she chooses to be good, even though she obviously has so much pain and stuff inside. You know, so I think that's this is the heart and soul of the book for sure.
And that's from canon. I didn't make that up. That's the original Otto Binder Bizarre. It's one of those things where if you take comics seriously, they'll talk to you and they'll give you the answers. I was like, "What's her origin story?" I read it, and that's a really bizarre origin story. And then I was like, "Oh wait, the answers to her character are right inside it." So yeah, it was a gift from the comic gods to have that. But what you just said is so important, and I think a lot of people are like, Supergirl. She had a TV show. She did have a movie in the '80s, although I don't think it actually hit the theaters. Uh, but some people are like, what is Supergirl? Why is she different? And can I read a Supergirl thing not knowing that much about her? And that's what's also good about this is you don't have if you've never read a Supergirl story, here is one. You don't know anything about her. It's from a blank page to anything. And if you want to tell someone who is Supergirl and you've read it for $10, you can get a gift for somebody.
And that's a great segue. The first 5 people in the continental United States who leave a comment on this video will send you a Supergirl compact comic, courtesy of
Oh
our
hell
friends at
yeah,
Panel
that's
Down
wonderful.
Comics.
That's wonderful. That's great.
We love to give away comics, and honestly, giving away a compact is a little easier than giving away an absolute edition. But when are we gonna get the Supergirl absolute, man? That is like that's crazy that so the other day, friend of the channel, you've been on near mint condition Omar's channel.
Sure.
He's gotten a direct connection with the people at the collected edition side of DC, and we got to help put together a list of like our most requested absolute editions, and Woman of Tomorrow was at the very top. So
Oh, that is excellent. Yes, please tell them. I would love to get an absolute. I talked to them about getting an absolute, and like we can't get it before the movie, so then I sort of, I'll push it again. I mean, I just want to see it because I want to see the art that big. So and I'd love to put so much. There's so much extra material that Bilquis and I have that would be great to put in there.
I'm torn, man. I try to think about what one of your books I would want a absolute of next, and but I feel like it's got to be Supergirl, right? That would be that makes the most logical sense. But Strange Adventures would be awesome too. Um,
Yeah, I think
but
Supergirl makes a ton of sense. Strange Adventures, I and Human Target. That would be my top 4.
ooh,
Um,
let's show
but
off that deluxe edition.
oh
Look
yeah,
at this.
I just found out
Yeah,
today it's selling like crazy. People are loving this thing. Look at that beauty. Look at that with the pink, with the little pink side stuff.
gorgeous.
It is
And
very pretty.
you took my suggestion for how to map it, so that was a
To
cool
put
one
the
for me with putting
put the issue in
the
the
tape.
back.
Yeah.
But did you see it? There's a mistake. We're gonna fix it in the soft cover. If you look in the hardcover, when you get to the end of the 12 issue series, it doesn't say the end. This is the smallest thing. It probably only bothers me, but it bothers me. Um, so that if you don't know the Tales of the Human Target, if you don't know that last issue is sort of a separate issue. Uh,
Oh, so you're worried people will think it's a continuation of the main
that's right.
storyline.
Yeah, yeah. I just wish they
Oh,
had
that
put a
actually is
the
important.
end. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I I I I immediately emailed them like, oh, we need to put it at the end when we shift this to. For people who don't know, there was another issue while Greg took a break to draw it because it's brilliant. Between issues 6 and 7, he took a 3 month break. We put a sort of, I don't call it fill-in issue, but sort of a Tales of the Human Target, a highlight of the Human Target, like missions he had gone out. It did not. It was related to the main story, but was not essential to the main story. It was just sort of an extra kind of candy thing, and that is included for the first time with the complete series in here. And as we discussed last time, do you put it in the middle where it came out chronologically? You put it at the end so that all of Greg's art and the whole story is together. I decided to put it at the end, so you get all of Greg's art, you get the whole 12 issue story, and then you turn the page and there's another issue. If you're a smart comic book fan, you know what that's about. If you're not, if you're coming from the
Yeah.
outside, you might be a little confused by it. So I wish there was just a little at the end. That's a little nitpicking.
I know it's not gonna change how you feel, but I'd imagine most people springing for the deluxe edition will maybe understand that, versus it's not like it's a compact of Human Target, which is
Yes.
more for, I would say, new readers. I gotta ask, man. So we know the next 7 months of DC collected editions. The question I get the most, like I'm supposed to know, like I have no idea about things that aren't released. But
Sure.
when do you think we might hear news on Batman Omnibus Volume 2? How did that sell? Do you because we sold it like crazy, you know?
I wish I could give you some information. I don't know. I mean, I know it's planned. I signed off on it a year ago, so I have no idea what their sort of release schedule is. I'll check in. It's excellent question. I'm so busy these days. Things I used to track very closely, like when my trades were coming out and all that stuff. I'm less. There's no room for it in my schedule to sort of track that stuff. So I sometimes I'm listening to podcasts or see, I'm like, oh, whoa, I have a trade out. Holy crap, I better start promoting it. So,
Or
um,
you see one of our social media videos and you're like, "Oh, I guess Human Target came out," you
that's
know?
right. Yeah, I saw, Helen of Windhorn is getting that. Just, what is it's the absolute version
Uh
of Helen of Windhorn. It's the
yeah, they I think
library
legality
edition.
rise a library edition.
Yes, the
Um,
library edition. I just I saw that's about to come out. So that's really exciting.
yeah.
But, but, but yeah, you asked a great question, which absolutely, I don't know. But as soon as I know that second volume they're gonna make it. It's gonna come out. It'll be a thing for sure.
N Nice. I feel like is the problem that, like, you keep writing Batman so they don't know how to map it? Because I feel like you keep writing Batman.
I do keep writing Batman. I imagine I'll have to stick Penguin at the back of that, if that counts as Batman. And I
Oh,
just did.
well, in our last interview, you mentioned that you don't think Penguin would go into it because you thought it was separate, but I feel like it has to because the Help makes a return appearance,
I
and the
think you're
Help's gonna
right.
be in Killing Time.
I think yeah.
So,
I think you're right. I think you're right. I think Penguin belongs in there. So hopefully, I've adjusted my opinion. I've changed with the tides.
there we
As
go.
any good human can. Um, and I just did. I mean, I didn't just do, but yeah, Greg Smallwood and I are working on a Batman thing together. I think I've talked about before. So there's a new Batman comic coming out soon, which is going to be
Is
beautiful.
Is that separate from the other Batman anthology story you're telling where you said it's one of the greatest artists ever, but I don't know if that artist was ever
Nope,
announced?
that's the one. And Greg Smallwood is the artist I was talking
Dude, Greg Smallwood's Batman is gonna look amazing. I
about.
feel like I don't know how to describe the art style, but it feels very much like whatever that period, the time The Incredibles takes place. You know what I mean? Where it's like there was
Yeah.
still optimism and advertising where you could have like, you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it other than that, but um
Yes, it draws from, I think you call it from like the height of illustration art of the 50s and 60s. They call it, yeah, yeah. But I think that
that's
the Incredibles era is a better way to say it than the way I said it. I like it.
I don't know how to say things in the right way, but I say things in the way that they make sense to me.
No, the way they make sense to you makes sense to me. So you're saying them exactly the right way.
That's awesome, man. So, what how many movies are you working on currently that have been announced? So there's Archie, right? And then
Yeah.
there's Love is Everlasting.
Yes, and
There's
we're all different studios. I have to keep track of them. So Love Everlasting is at Sony Studios,
mhm.
um, which I'm producing, and so we're putting that together right now. Um, Archie is at Universal Studios with Lord and Miller, um, who, for people who know, that they made the Spider Verse movies, the Lego movie, 21 Jump Street. Um, just some of the most Mitchell's versus the Machines, maybe my favorite thing they ever made. If you've seen that on Netflix, it's wonderful. Uh, and so they're producing the Archie movie at Universal, which I'm currently writing. And then at Warner, we have quite a few, right? We've got Lantern, we have Supergirl, which is coming out, which is,
Mhm.
based on my thing. And then we have Lanterns, which will follow Supergirl, and then Mr. Miracle. So those are the three there.
Was there a Helen project, or was that not announced? Is that not announced, or
No, we're working on Helen now. We have quite a few suitors for Helen because it was a big success. So we're just finding the exact right place to put it. And it's the nice thing about Helen is, if you read Supergirl and you're like, I like this, or this is, I want more of this. I literally, like weeks after I finished Supergirl, I wrote Helen, and so it's by the exact same team at the exact same time. It's me and Bilquis, and Matt on colors and Clayton on letters, and it's a very similar story made for. I literally was like, I want to do a book that if you like Supergirl, you like that. That was the point of this book. So it's told in a similar way. It's told from a third person point of view, using kind of the fancier language. It has a young female protagonist. And it's a heartfelt story that has won a bunch of awards. So if you love Supergirl, you can go right to Helen of Windhorn.
she won the Eisner for it, right?
She won the Eisner for Best Artist. She's won every award for Best Artist. She won the Ringo for Best Artist. I think we didn't win the Harvey. They don't give Best Artist at the Harvey, but we were nominated. It was nominated. Yeah, Helen roars. People, that book has a life of its own, and the good thing with Helen is it's the first chapter, so you're just launching on a story that's going to keep
Oh,
going.
there's gonna be more?
Yes, it's as soon as we can figure out how and when to do it. Of course, yes.
I remember, because I help run the online comic shop for collected editions. That was the book we could not keep stocked. Like it was, I don't know what was going on, but like that would sell out like crazy, and then it would finally come back months later, and then it would sell out instantly. That book was so hard to keep stocked. Like, so that library edition is gonna do very well. Like,
I hope so. It's one of the most beautiful books I've ever read. It just, the art on it. I can't speak to the writing. The writing is great, but that is an art book. That is an art forward book, much like Human Target you just had, where you just like, you flip through and you just can't believe the amazing talent on the page. It's beautiful, just a gorgeous book.
that's awesome, man. I mean, you've had I feel like you had a banner year for collected editions. You had Batman, which was the most requested omnibus for multiple years, and I loved how like I got to show you that, and then like you were like, yeah, I don't know, and then like a week later it got announced, and I was like, I bet he knew the whole time. He couldn't even give me a wink after the live. I guess that's the hard part about doing a live show is you can't say anything off the record,
Yeah,
you
I
know.
guess that's true. Yeah, I should have winked. I should have given you. I should have like tugged on my ear. It's coming. It's coming.
And
But it's weird because it's starting to slow down. My life was for a decade 90% comics, 10% Hollywood and other stuff. Now it's 90% Hollywood, 10% comics. And for a while you don't feel that impact because comics take three to 6 months to come out. But now it is catching up where like there are many days, there are many weeks where I'm not on shelves, where there aren't trades coming to my house. It's very weird. It's a new form of living, and I'm getting used to it. I'm not sure I love it, but I'm getting used to it.
Will you always consider yourself comics first though, or do you consider yourself like Hollywood first right now? Did Tom King go Hollywood?
Oh no, I'm a comic book writer. That's who I am in my heart. I love, that's my first medium. That's what I love. Uh, but dude, I don't know, man. 'I've kind of lived a life of changes. I'm not. 'Cause, dude, I don't know, man. I I've kind of lived a life of changes. I'm not. 'Cause, dude, I don't know, man. I, 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 I'm kind of lived a life of changes. I'm not. 'Cause, dude, I don't know, man. I, 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 I'm kind of lived a life of changes. I'm not. My mother was this way, so it's kind of raised this. My mom, when I was a kid, was a school teacher. She taught mentally challenged children um, in preschool. And then when I was 3 years old, she decided to go to law school. So we picked up our whole life. She went to Harvard Law School. I'm almost pretty smart. And we went to Cambridge. And then at 30 years old, she became a lawyer. And so that's just how I was raised. That you kind of just change career midstream. So when I was in my 20s, I was in the CIA. When I was 30, I became a comic book writer. And now I'm almost through my 40s, and I'm doing this other career. So I don't know. 10 years from now, I'll be in some other different career. I'll be podcasting. That'll be my life.
When I was trying to figure out all the things you were working on, I was like, man, he's like getting too big to be on my show. He's gonna be on movies. I'm not a
No,
movie
no,
podcast.
no, no,
Um,
no, no. That's not a thing. I will
I
never
know.
be
I'm
too
just
big. I will never be too big. Everything I'm doing sounds freaking arrogant. I'm just saying that I love comics. I love comic podcasting. I got back into comics through comic podcasting, and so this is when I was just on vacation over the break. It took 3 days. My family rented a house. We went to watch a bunch of football and read a bunch of comics. That's what I was doing for 3 days. I was just sitting there reading a bunch of comics, and it was a joy.
what'd you read?
Oh, I was reading old comic strips.
Hey,
old, old,
old comic
old,
strips are good.
old comic strips from the 50s. I was trying, you're always searching for a good idea. I was reading old Rip Kirby's. I don't know if you know that, but it's Alex Raymond stuff. But yeah, I was like, I'm gonna take these volumes of old Alex Raymond Kirby noir comics and read them, and they were wonderful. They're brilliant, beautiful, brilliant.
You always have me try things that I've never tried before. So I started watching Columbo after our last interview.
Oh wow,
Because I want
how'd it go?
yeah,
You, you should
because you
watch
love
Cheers.
Columbo.
Cheers is my new thing that I love. No,
I've never watched Cheers. My two favorite episodes of Columbo, though. I mean, the pilot being directed by Steven Spielberg is amazing. That
mind
pilot
blown,
is
mind blown. And
amazing.
Spielberg is like 27, 26. Like he's a young man. So it blows my mind how good it is. Just if you watch just the first 5 minutes, the way the sort of tick tock of the typewriter becomes the soundtrack,
Mhm.
becomes this long shot. I mean, that guy was. I think that's Steven Spielberg.
You
He's
think
pretty
he'll
good.
make it someday?
Pretty good. Yeah. There's a shot. There's a shot.
And then my favorite episode is the winery episode with the guy that became Dr.
Brilliant.
Loomis.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Um,
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
and then I went back and read your what is essentially your Columbo spec script from your Wonder Woman run, and it was just so because like Columbo's voice is so iconic, and he just lets them dig a ditch for themselves, and he goes like, "Oh, but you said you didn't have rain boots," and they're like, "Oh no, I did have rain," and they're like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense." I can't believe like you got away with writing a Columbo episode with Detective Chimp.
I've rarely had more fun writing any. I would say the most fun characters to write are Booster Gold and Hal Jordan, who are wonderful. Detective Chimp is number three. That might be the triumvirate of the. If I can write him as Columbo, man, that was. I was just laughing the whole time I wrote that script, and I was like, DC is gonna definitely let me do a Columbo, a Detective Chimp series. I was like, look at this, look what I can do with Detective Chimp, and they're like, never. God damn.
I mean, dude, talk to your friend Scott Snyder. Maybe we need an absolute Detective Chimp. What's he doing in the absolute universe right now? You know?
God, oh God, yeah, that would be a thing. I don't know. No, Scott has his own world. He doesn't need me to step on any of his shoes. He's doing great by himself.
I gotta say, you did like the coolest homie move where I was like first in line to meet Scott Snyder at San Diego Comic Con, and then you walked over and you were like, "You got to be on Jake's podcast," and
Oh,
actually that was the second best moment of my convention. The best moment, Frank Miller made my convention. So Frank Miller obviously has to charge a lot for his signatures because who doesn't want a Frank Miller signature, right?
I got one right back here. If you can look behind me, I got a Frank Miller signed DKR that I keep above my desk.
And I was texting my wife. We were going back and forth debating on how many signatures. I'd brought 3 books for him to sign, and we
Which
compromised on I
three? I'm
think
curious. Which three did you go with?
so. I brought the Frank Miller Companion Omnibus, Daredevil Companion Omnibus, which has Born Again and Man Without Fear in it.
Good.
I brought
Fantastic books.
Absolute Year One, the original coloring. because the Absolute came with two versions of the. I don't know if you've seen it. It comes with both the original coloring, because I mean, Absolute Year One's 4 issues, so they could fit two versions, the recoloring and the
Sure.
original. And then I brought Year One. Oh, sorry, Year One, Dark Knight Returns, and the Daredevil Companion Omnibus. So I didn't know what to have him sign. So I go up and I'm like, here, sign. I only got 2 tickets. Sign whichever two you want. And he goes, I guess I'm breaking the rule. He said, don't tell anyone. And he signed all 3 for me. And he gave me a free
Oh,
signature.
oh, that's
And
sweet. He's a
and
nice
and he
guy.
didn't have to do that. I wasn't trying to get a free signature. I don't make I get choice paralysis. So I was like, whichever ones you want to sign, I can't choose.
I got my sign. Oh, it must have been 10 years back, which is a crazy thought. Because it was right when Batman. I did a signing with me, Scott Snyder, Frank Miller, and I think James Tynan was there, or was it Sean Murphy? I
Hmm.
don't know. One of those two people. So there were 4 of us. There's pictures, and we were all signing in Midtown, which is crazy. And I still remember that. So I got my DKR sign. I was sitting next to him, I was like, "Hey, can you sign this?" He's like, "Yeah." And he said something to me that haunts me to this day, which was, this is 10 years ago. He's like, "I cannot believe there are still DKR number ones that I have not signed." Like he's signed so many. He's like, "I must have signed them all at this point." And I have that thought sometimes when I'm signing. Like certain issues, I sign over and over again. Batman 27, the date issue, or Batman 50 with the Jim Lee cover. I was like, I cannot believe. And I was like, and Frank's been doing it for 40, 50 years. Yeah, it is a thought. I can't believe there are comics that I have not signed that this still is. Yeah.
I felt like I was good with Frank Miller signatures, and then I got my one of like the rarest, most out of print books ever. Have you seen the Absolute edition for Martha Washington?
No, I recently read Martha Washington. That book's crazy.
I mean, when you say the creative team, where you have Frank Miller writing and then Dave Gibbons on art, that's like two of
Yeah.
the greatest comic book creators of all time, telling like one of the most unhinged stories I've
Yeah,
ever
it is. It
ever
stopped.
read.
It was written over. It wasn't just written straight like 12 issues. It was written over like years and years and years as they kept coming back to it and in and out of it and things. So it doesn't go in straight lines. It goes all over the place. And it is unhinged is a good way to put it. Oh,
This
that's
is
whoa. Oh, that's very pretty. Wow, that's
so.
really beautiful.
I told my wife when I got it, I'm like, I'm buying one more Frank Miller ticket next time I go to a Comic Con.
I
So
was reading an omnibus over Christmas break. I was reading my 5 Year Later Legion omnibus. Uh,
I thought you didn't like Omnis. I thought they were too
I know.
you said,
I broke my rule and was like, this isn't collected anywhere else. I have to read this 5 year later, and I got a setup. I put a couch next to a chair so I could balance it on my knees, and it was actually quite joyful. And I was like, I'm so whining about this, but actually really having fun reading this omnibus. So Legion was my book as a kid. That was the one, like the cool kids liked X-Men, the super nerds liked Legion, and I was a super nerd. Legion, I was very much into Legion. I didn't not that I dislike X-Men. I love me some X-Men, but I love Legion.
yeah, Legion is my biggest blind spot with comics. I'm like, how am I going to interview Mark Waid not knowing who the Legion of Superheroes is? But we got along, so
Mark
that
Waid
was
edited the 5 year later Legion omnibus I wrote. So small world.
that's awesome, man. Well, we're coming at the hour mark. I know you're a busy guy, so I guess the floor is yours. What would you like to plug?
I want to plug one thing. It's a thing I've been plugging the entire time I've been on this, which is this wonderful little book. It's called Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. The movie comes out in June, and if you've read it, then you know. And now you have something you can give. Give this away. Give this to a teacher. Give this to a friend. Give this to a niece. Give this to a daughter, and say, here. You want to know why I love this thing? Why I'm paying $50 for the bigger edition. This is why. And if they read this, they'll have the answer and they'll know. And you have a nice excuse because you say, hey, you're ahead of the movie now. Like you know what's coming. You know what is inside the mind of James Gunn. This is what inspired him to make this movie. And if you don't love it, blame Jake. It's his fault.
Yeah,
Yeah.
blame me.
Ask Jake for refunds. I think. Yeah. So yeah, that's the thing. I just want to keep throwing out in the world. I'm on this. People who watch this and watch other things will get tired of me saying this, but I'm turning from a writer into a proselytizer. I'm never going to get the chance to do this again, where I have such a huge stage to say welcome, welcome to the thing I love, welcome to the thing I've dedicated my life to, and I'm going to take advantage of these 5 months and go out and say, come and come into the medium, and you can turn off your iPads and have an adventure.
Well, thank you so much, man. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, and Mr. Miracle are my two favorite comics. Like, with New Frontier, Woman of Tomorrow, and Mr. Miracle, three favorite comics in the world, man. It was such a,
Means the
and
world.
no other.
Hey, New Frontier. Oh my God, that's. I mean, it's the best book of the aughts. I think that's the way I would put it.
And I just want to say personally, like, no other comic book creator has shared my work more, or mine and Jordan's work more, or done more to, like, you've been on my show 3 times, man. You're not bored yet. So thank you for all that
Three
you've done.
Timers Club.
3 times, for one more time, and I'll send you a jacket. Or
Sweet, sweet. That's all I wanted. Yeah.
no, but thank you for all that you've done, man. You've homied me to Scott Snyder at a convention. You've shared count. You probably get tired of how many times I tag you in videos of your work that we make for you.
Dude, I know how hard you work, and how much you are both pushing yourself. You should have confidence in you. You're good at what you do, and I look forward to you taking over the internet, because you're kind and you're cool, and it should belong to people like you. So thanks, man.
Oh, thank you so much, man. So everybody, go pick up Supergirl. We'll give away 5 copies to the first 5 people in the United States that comment. And you know what? One commenter we'll give away. Should we do the deluxe? We'll do the deluxe of Supergirl. There's some of those left. So we'll give away 1 deluxe and 5 compact comics.
Oh man,
Comment down below.
go
And
for it.
thank you
Go
so much,
for it.
everyone. Keep reading and stay brave. Maybe call the audience a nerd one last time just so I can edit that in.
I love you, nerds. You rock.